Sareysa had rested well through the night, her energy restored for the journey ahead. Stillpine Hold awaited, a place of both promise and uncertainty. A small fear lingered. Would the chieftain accept her, or would she face rejection? She couldn't predict the challenges she might encounter, but her resolve was firm. Sareysa was ready for anything that lay ahead, determined to prove herself to the Stillpine and earn their trust. The morning air was crisp, and she felt a mix of apprehension and excitement as she set off, her staff tapping against the stones of the path. As she sets off in the morning, Sareysa remembers vague whispers from the night before. The Draenei of Azure Watch seemed uneasy around her. Words like demonic path, path of darkness, and the prophet would never approve of this dark magic had floated to her ears, but she had been too exhausted to pay attention. It had unsettled her at the time, but in the crisp morning air she found herself pushing those thoughts away, focusing instead on the path ahead.
Welcome, Sareysa. You have traveled far to reach Stillpine Hold, and I sense the determination in your heart. For centuries, we lived in relative peace with the creatures of this land. But several months ago, Kurtz began to see dark omens. The peace we had enjoyed for so long was to be lost, and the extent of the catastrophe was unknown.
Dark omens. What kind of omens did Kurtz see?
So it would be that the gods would shatter our land, turning both friend and foe against us. But there was something else. Amidst the chaos, a hero would rise. A hero not of Stillpine blood. The promised one would deliver us from devastation.
A hero not of Stillpine blood. Do you believe that hero is me?
Yes, Sareysa. That prophesied hero is you. You are the promised one, destined to deliver us from this devastation. We welcome you with open hands, and we are ready to stand by your side.
Thank you, High Chief. Your trust means everything to me. I will not let you down.
Your gratitude is appreciated, Sareysa. Now, to begin your journey, you should speak with Gurf and Mordo. They will guide you further. These creatures, why here? Why now? These are dark days, promised one. Even the Murlocs are kicking our tails literally. Unfortunately, more than just my ego has been bruised.
Morlocks? What have they done?
While our relationship with the Siltfin Murlocs had always been tenuous, we never imagined they would have the gall to attack us and steal from our food stores. Travel west to the silting shore and recover our stolen foodstuffs.
I'll head there right away. Is there anything specific I should watch for?
Yes. If you see a dark-skinned Murloc with a patch of white fur stuck between his webbed toes, well...
Understood. I won't let them get away with this.
My brother and I were hunting in the woods to the east when we were ambushed by strange, insect-like beasts. Such aberrations have never before been seen in Azuramist. Could they be a sign of the coming apocalypse? The apocalypse that you are destined to prevent?
Insect-like beasts? That sounds troubling. What would you have me do, Morda?
If you truly are the promised one, you will strike the creatures of the apocalypse down, and bring me their hides. From their hides I can fashion armor of great power.
I'll find them and bring you what you need. Where can I find these creatures?
Find them to the east, beyond the road. Be careful, Sareysa. These creatures are not to be taken lightly.
Thank you, Morda. I will be cautious.
Sareysa moves east, beyond the road as instructed by Mordo. The The forest gradually gives way to a more rugged landscape, with dense bushes and thick undergrowth that seems untouched. She scans the area cautiously, her senses heightened for any sign of movement. As she pushes forward, the buzzing of wings and skittering legs catches her attention. She spots them strange, insect-like creatures, with dark, chitinous shells in shades of yellow and brown. The first ravager comes charging towards her, its many legs moving with a speed that belies its size. Sareysa braces herself, her fingers curling around her staff. With a quick motion, she conjures a bolt of shadow energy, striking the creature directly. The ravager shudders but presses on, forcing Sareysa to launch another attack. She draws upon her power, unleashing a barrage of spells until the creature collapses. One by one, the ravagers fall. Sareysa fights with a mix of determination and caution, her movements careful but relentless. As she collects their hides, she can't help but feel a strange sense of fulfillment. Each hide represents not just a piece of armor for Mordor, but also her ability to face these dark omens and prove herself worthy of the title bestowed upon Hearth, Promised One. With the hides in hand, she begins her journey back to Stillpine Hold, her heart resolute and her spirit emboldened.
Not only is the prophecy true, this armor is also amazing. Surely it is armor fit for a champion, and I will sell it to you at discounted prices. Furless one.
Really? After all that effort?
I jest. The first piece is complimentary.
With Gurf's words echoing in her mind, Sareysa traveled west to the silting shore. The path led her through a marshy terrain where the air felt thick, and the scent of brine filled her nostrils. The sound of bubbling water and the occasional croak of marsh frogs provided an eerie background to her journey. As she approached the silting shore, she could see the unmistakable figures of the Murloc's green and blue-skinned creatures, with webbed feet and large bulbous eyes ambling around, their guttural croaks resonating through the air. Sareysa moved carefully, observing their movements, looking for the stolen grain bags. She spotted several Murlocs clustered around a pile of sacks, some rummaging through the contents, others standing guard. Sareysa knew she had to act quickly. A bolt of dark magic shot out, striking the creature and sending it into a frantic retreat. Chaos erupted among the Murlocs, giving Sareysa the opportunity she needed. She launched a barrage of spells, each finding its mark, scattering the creatures and sending them fleeing into the marsh. With her path cleared, Sareysa approached the sacks, recognizing them as the stolen food supplies. She gathered the grain bags swiftly, slinging them over her shoulder. Just as she was about to leave, a shadow loomed over her. Turning around, she found herself face to face with a much larger Murloc, its dark skin contrasting sharply with a patch of white fur stuck between its webbed toes. This must be the one Gurf had warned her about. The Murloc let out a guttural roar and charged. Sareysa stood her ground, her staff raised as she summoned her power, unleashing a blast of shadow energy. The battle was fierce, but Sareysa fought with precision, her magic weaving through the air until, with a final spell, the Murloc fell. Breathing heavily, Sareysa looked down at the defeated creature. She felt a sense of triumph, not only for recovering the stolen supplies, but for facing down the larger threat. With the grain bags secure and the Murloc leader vanquished, Sareysa began her journey back to Stillpine Hold, ready to report her success to Gurf. The path back is calmer, her steps steady as she feels the weight of success. Though she is tired, the satisfaction of a job well done carries her forward. The familiar sight of Stillpine Hold comes into view, and she takes a deep breath, preparing to report back to Gurf. Gurf spits on the clump of fur and tries to affix it to the hairless patch on his backside. Sareysa looks away, trying to hide a smirk, amused by his antics yet understanding his need to regain his pride. The atmosphere lightens, and she feels a sense of camaraderie with these people who have accepted her.
This will have to do for now. Hopefully, one of the shaman will be able to repair the damage. You truly are the promised one, Sareysa. Your efforts mean more than you know. Rest now, you've earned it.
I'm glad I could help. The Murlocs were tenacious, but they couldn't keep me from recovering what was taken.
After the crystal storm had subsided, a beast of myth appeared in our village. Brought here by the invading wildkin, this beast, the Kurken, laid waste to our village. Many Stillpine were slain in defense of our lands by this fiend, and many have since lost their lives attempting to subdue the beast.
The Kurken, it sounds formidable. What would you have me do, Kurs?
In my visions, I have seen one defeat the Kurken. The one must be you, Sareysa. You are our only hope. Enter Stillpine Hold and slay the Kurken. Bring me his hide as proof of deed. Stillpine the Younger also wishes to speak with you before you go.
I will do it. He won't let the Stillpine suffer any longer.
I am Stillpine the Younger, heir to the Stillpine legacy. As you can see, my defenders have set up a death trap for the raving wildkin that attack from inside Stillpine Hold. While we are able to hold them off out here, none of my defenders have been able to infiltrate the hold.
What do you need me to do?
If you could get inside and slay their leader, it might give us an opportunity to strike. Find Chieftain Oomooroo and destroy him. Slay any crazed wildkin that you encounter inside as well. My father, the High Chief, would also like to give you more instruction before you go inside the hold.
As High Chief, my immediate concern is the root of the corruption in Stillpine Hold. Why did the Wildkins, once our allies, attack us? Why have they taken residence in Stillpine Hold?
You think there's something inside that will explain it?
Perhaps something inside will hold the answer. Search Stillpine Hold for clues as to the source of corruption.
Sareysa made her way to the entrance of the hold. The sight before her was harrowing, the aftermath of the battle between the Stillpine and the Wildkin. It was a bloodbath, a tragic scene that spoke of the ferocity of the conflict. The ground was littered with broken weapons and fallen defenders, their once vibrant spirits now silent. Blood stained the earth, and the air hung heavy with the scent of death and despair. Sareysa felt her heart clench at the sight, her resolve hardening further. So many lives had been lost, and she could feel the weight of their sacrifice pressing on her. She knew she couldn't let their deaths be in vain. Sareysa stepped inside the hold, her heart pounding in her chest. The walls seemed to close in on her, their shadows stretching long and ominous in the dim light. Each step echoed through the empty corridors, a reminder of the silence that had replaced the lively Stillpine voices. Her breath was shallow, her senses heightened as she pressed forward. A few steps in, her eyes caught movement. A wildkin emerged from the darkness, once an innocent creature, now twisted and fearsome. Its eyes glowed with a malevolent light, and its claws scraped against the stone as it advanced. Sareysa's grip on her staff tightened, her magic surging to the surface as she prepared to strike. With a muttered incantation, she unleashed her power, the dark energy crackling through the air as it raced toward the corrupted wildkin. There was no turning back now. This fight was only just beginning. Inside the hold, Sareysa moved cautiously through the narrow corridors, her senses heightened. As she neared a narrow bridge, she spotted Oomooroo, the chieftain of the corrupted wildkin. It was hard to reconcile the ferocity of this creature with his appearance. His fur was a pristine white, almost beautiful in its radiance, but the aura surrounding him was anything but pure. His eyes were filled with rage, and the power he exuded was palpable. Sareysa knew this would be a battle like no other. She steeled herself, preparing for the confrontation that lay ahead. The battle with Oomooroo was swift and fierce. Sareysa called upon her magic, her abilities surpassing those of the corrupted chieftain. Dark energy swirled around her as she launched her spells with precision and power. Oomooroo fought back with all his might, but he was no match for Sareysa's determination and skill. Her magic tore through his defenses, and within moments, the once mighty chieftain lay defeated at her feet. It took no time to kill him, and as the last remnants of his energy faded away, Sareysa stood victorious, her heart still pounding from the intensity of the fight. Sareysa pressed on, moving deeper into the hold. The air grew colder, and an unnatural stillness settled around her. At the far end of the cave, she spotted something unusual: blood crystal, glowing faintly in the dim light. It radiated a sickly aura, and she could see its energy seeping into the water that pooled at the cave's edge. Sareysa approached cautiously, her eyes narrowing as she tried to understand what she was seeing. The crystal's presence was clearly unnatural, and she felt a chill run down her spine as she realized this might be the source of the corruption that had taken hold of the Wildkin. The blood crystal appeared to be a piece of the Exodar, yet something had gone terribly wrong. Its once bright and vibrant energy was now a sickly blood red, dissolving rapidly into the water supply of the cave. Sareysa's eyes widened as she studied the crystal. It all began to make sense. This corrupted crystal was likely the reason for the Wildkin's aggressive behavior, and perhaps even the cause of the darkness that had taken root in Azure Mist. She knew she had to return to Kurtz and report what she had found. However, just as she began her way back, two Wildkin suddenly lunged at her from the shadows. Their eyes burned with rage and their claws were poised to strike. Sareysa reacted instantly, summoning her magic to defend herself. The battle was fierce but brief. Her abilities once again proved superior as she swiftly overpowered the attackers, her heart pounding as she continued her journey out of the cave. As soon as Sareysa finished dealing with the Wildkin, she noticed a creature unlike any she had seen before, a massive, two-headed dog-like beast. Its sheer size and the malice in its eyes were chilling to the bone. Sareysa felt a shiver run down her spine. This must be the Kurken that Kurtz had mentioned. Slowly, she approached the creature, her steps careful and deliberate. She positioned herself at a safe distance and summoned her magic, her fingers trembling slightly as she prepared for the fight. With a burst of energy, she unleashed her first attack, dark energy arcing through the air toward the beast. The Kurken roared in response, charging at her with terrifying speed. Sareysa held her ground, channeling her spells with precision and determination. The battle was intense, the Kurken's strength evident in every move, but Sareysa's skills prevailed. After a good amount of fighting, she managed to subdue the beast. It fell to the ground, its power finally exhausted. Sareysa stood victorious, her breathing heavy but her spirit unbroken. Without wasting time, she ran back out of the hold, her footsteps echoing through the dim corridors. Her heart pounded from exertion and urgency. She needed to deliver the hide to Kurtz and share what she had learned about the blood crystal.
These blood crystals that you saw, my scouts have seen many more to the north.
More blood crystals. This corruption runs deeper than I imagined.
I thank you for your aid, but now ask that you leave me to confer with the elders. I will call for you once I have spoken with the other elders of the village.
This may very well be the opportunity that we needed. I will send an attack at once. The Stillpine thank you for your service, Sareysa.
I'm just glad I could help. I hope this attack brings us one step closer to restoring peace. I have the hide of the Kurken, just as you asked. It wasn't easy, but I prevailed.
The Promised One has emerged victorious. The prophecy is nearly complete. Now about that hide. Take the Kurken's hide to Mordo, on the other side of the village. He will fashion the hide into an item of your choice.
Before Sareysa could proceed to Mordo, she noticed High Chief Stillpine standing with the village elders. It seemed he had finished his discussions and was ready to speak with her again. Sareysa took a deep breath and made her way towards him, her heart heavy with anticipation for what more might be required of her.
The hold is saved, and soon my people will make their way back to the ancestral home. The prophecy has come to pass, and a new age of prosperity begins for the Stillpine. But I fear that darkness looms ahead for your own people. There are questions left unanswered, visions of prophecy unseen. Return to your leaders and tell them of what you have seen here. And promised one, should you ever require the aid of Stillpine, you have merely to ask.
Sareysa nodded respectfully to the chief, and then turned to run towards Mordo. She wasted no time, eager to complete her task. When she reached Mordo, he took the Kurken's hide with a nod of approval and set to work. The process was quick, his hands moving deftly as he fashioned the hide into the strongest armor possible. Sareysa watched in awe as the hide transformed, knowing that this armor would be a symbol of her journey and her victories.
Visions, you say? Interesting. And this prophecy has come to pass?
Yes, Exarch. The High Chief and the Stillpine have begun returning to their ancestral home. They believe the prophecy is fulfilled, but there's something more.
Would you say they saw the power core of the Exodar? And a rose was also in the vision? What can it mean? However, Sareysa, you must visit the Exodar and speak with Prophet Velen urgently. He has seen something troubling your choice of the dark path is of great concern to him, and he wishes to ask you some questions.
Understood, Exarch. I will make my way to the Exodar immediately.
Sareysa took a deep breath as she left Exarch Menelaus. Her mind was racing, filled with questions and anxiety. The thought of meeting Prophet Velen weighed heavily on her. What would he say about her choice of the dark path? Would he condemn her or perhaps understand her reasoning? The path ahead was uncertain, but she knew she had to face whatever awaited her.